Right. Okay, so Radhe Radhe everyone. Today we are going to continue our discussion on the Canto 1, Shrimad Bhagavatam, Mahapuran, and today we are going to cover the chapter 6 and 7. So there are total 19 chapters, so almost halfway there. So probably by next week we'll be halfway. So let's do the invocation. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दम् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. All right, so let's do the brief recap of the last class. So in the last class, we saw that Shaunaka Muni praised Sutta Muni for his excellent narration, skills of narration, and he asked him to actually narrate Shrimad Bhagavatam. And he asked how come Ved Vyas wrote this. He asked the context, inspiration, and also he spoke. We know that Shukamuni is Ved Vyasa's son, so he was a very detached person, and he asked how Shukamuni met King Parikshit, and what was the circumstances of his birth, what was his deed, King Parikshit's deeds. And why did he renounce everything and fasted at the Ganga and attained liberation? And then he was asking him that you know what was the situations that led him to not care of for the people and leave everything. So Sutamuni replied to Shaunaka Muni. One second, do you see any disturbance in the background? No, right? Okay. So so he says that Sutamuni began that this happened in the Dwapar Yuga, and he was how Vedvyas was born to Parashar Muni and Satyavati, and he was a partial incarnation of Sri Hari, and how he took a bath in the Saraswati River, and he was meditating on the future, and he saw that humanity's decline, so he decided to uh, compile the Vedas and divide it into four. Then he also composed Mahabharata, so that he saw that people are going to differentiate between genders and then castes. So he ensured that these informations in the Vedas are also included in the Mahabharata. We saw that even though he's written, he trained people, and who further divided the Vedas into Upanishads and told to made further disciples, because he saw that the size of the intellect of these people from the Kali Yuga are going to be very small. So everything he did, but he felt very deeply dissatisfied. Something was missing, and he was actually pondering over it. At that time, sage Narada arrives, and he tells him that he has not done enough to glorify Lord Vishnu in his works. And actually, here also, when I was searching about Vishnu, Lord Vishnu and Sri Hari, so I came across, like, in the Vaishnavism itself there are several divisions. How they look. Some, they don't believe in Krishna, some believe only in Narayana. So whenever I'm saying Vishnu, uh, take it as Krishna only. So that's what I wanted to say. So he told Ved Vyas that he's not done enough for the glorification of Lord Vishnu in his work. And then Narada emphasized that devotion to Sri Hari is the ultimate purpose of life. And he also explains his own transformation through devotion and how he achieved the God realization. and he told Vedvyas to narrate it. So when all this happened, this will actually lead to the next chapter. So the next chapter's name is the rest of the story of Narada's previous birth. So discourse 6. So when Narada said these things, then the Vyas had some doubts. So Vyas said, so Sutamani told, this conversation is happening between Sutamani and Shaunaka right? So Sutamani told Shaunaka that after hearing about Narada's birth and his spiritual journey, Vyas asked a series of questions, which was that when these ascetics left, you know that, right? Some ascetics came to the ashram where Narada Muni, who was 5 years old at that time, and his mother was a maid servant there. So um, when he came there, they were like a bunch of ascetics. So when they came there, Narada was serving them. So, and then when they left, they actually told. In the previous class, I said that they told a mantra. Actually, they did not tell the mantra. They told him to look at everything equally. Look at everything as God. That's what they told him. Don't differentiate between good, bad, whatever situations, everything. They told Narada to look at everything as God only. So when this happened, so after hearing about Narada's birth and his spiritual journey, he asked, okay, Maharishi Vedvyas asked to Narada that how did you spend rest of your life once these people left you, and how did you leave your mortal body when that time came? And then he said that time erases all the memories, right? But now how do you remember what happened in the previous kalpa? So I think kalpa is 1000 yugas, right? So uh, how did he remember? So this is the next kalpa. So how did he remember all these, what happened in his previous kalpa, and how time was not able to erase his memory? And so then Narada replies to him. So he says that I followed the teachings. His mother was an uneducated maid servant, and he was very small, so he was fully dependent on her, and she also had very a lot of attachment. So even though he understood, because he was practicing their teachings, he understood that everything is Maya. Still, because he was dependent and because he saw that his mother is attached, he said, okay, I'm going to continue. And then he says that out of respect for my mother, I stayed in the locality of the Brahmanas. That means in the ashram he was staying, and he did not know where to go, or he did not have much understanding of time, space, etc. at that young age. So, as the ascetics told him to look that to all the situations as as Bhagwan only. One day he says that his mother actually in the night came out to milk the cow, and she was bitten by a snake, and she died instantly. So now he was already kind of detached only. So he just then left the house and he started walking north. So he was still 5 and he was walking, and then he started saying that what all he saw on his way. So he says that in his journey he saw prosperous lands filled with um large cities, peaceful villages, temporary shelters of cowherds, mines, small towns, quiet habitations near mountains. There were the mountains were rich with colorful minerals. Large trees had branches broken by elephants. So he saw all of these very, very beautiful sight as he was traveling. And then he came across a dense and frightening forest, which was full of tall grass, bamboo reeds, and hollow trees. So the forest echoed with cries of serpents, owls, and jackals. There after so much traveling and walking, for a 5-year-old boy, he was very thirsty and hungry, and he saw a small kind of a river nearby, near a peepal tree. He took a bath there, drank some water, quenched his thirst, and he sat at the near that peepal tree and started meditating on Krishna. So when he was meditating, and suddenly he felt lot of love, flowing, overflowing through within him, and tears started flowing from his eyes, and his heart actually started yearning to see him. And slowly he had the vision. He saw Sri Hari in his heart. So he again became overwhelmed with love. His body started trembling. His hair stood on end, and he said that he was filled with so much peace and joy that he went into samadhi. So, in divine ecstasy, he forgot everything, including himself. And in that state, he even forgot the vision also stopped. Everything was blank. So, um, when the vision disappeared, he felt very disturbed and sprang to his feet. He just stood up, and he said that he felt like he lost something very precious. He started looking for him here and there, and he does not know what to do. So he again sat and started to get that vision back. But nothing was happening. So then he became very sorrowful, and he started crying. His tears started falling more, and suddenly within him, he heard a voice which said that, dear child, you cannot see me anymore in this birth. I am difficult to perceive for those who have not perfected their devotion, and his heart is not yet pure. So when he and then he further says that I appeared before you to awaken a deep desire for me. So one vision of God, and now we cannot rest. We have to pursue it. So for that purpose, Krishna came in his to him. And also there was another reason. He says that those who truly long for me, gradually they will let go of worldly attachments. Right now his heart is not pure. Right now he cannot further, he cannot come to his visions further. And he says that the reason why Krishna came to him was because he one second now. Can you okay, so he said, because you serve the saints, even for a short time, your mind is already fixed on me. When you leave this material body, you will attain the position of my personal attendant. And then he says, the love you have the love you have fixed on me will never fade. So even if we have little, yoga kshema, we know that, right? Even if we have now, if we have done 5% devotion, Krishna will continue from the 6th person in the next birth. So that's what he's saying, that even the love that you have fixed on me will never fade, and by my grace you will continue to remember me, uh, even when the entire creation is dissolved. So he tells that the little Narada all of these things, and he says that after these words, the Lord's voice fell silent. So now the little Narada was his that craving got satisfied, and he said he was very grateful for his kindness, and he bowed his head in reverence to him. And from that moment onwards, he started chanting the names, auspicious names of God. So there is something about these mysterious and auspicious names of God, which I have gathered. I'm still working on. Probably I'll bring in the Nididhyasan section of the let's contemplate. I'll make a section for next class, and I will discuss more on that. So he started chanting his mysterious and auspicious names, and he says that by which his mind started, slowly and steadily got freed from all the worldly desires of pride, jealousy, and he wandered the earth peacefully. And he was waiting for the end of his life as was promised. Um, okay. So then he says that when death came, it struck like a lightning. So it was that quick. He did not have to suffer, and his whole life he was chanting, and he dedicated his entire time listening to his exploits, his divine leelas, that it became fixed on Krishna alone. And he says that when he shed his material body, he was blessed to attain a divine form. So he waited for that kalpa to get finished. So he says at the end of the kalpa, when Lord Narayana absorbed the creation, we know that, right? 100 days. So the if there is 1,000 days of thousand what do you the time duration of the 1,000 yugas, whatever was that during the day, that much time there will be emptiness also. So after that, again the creation happens. So he says that at the end of the last kalpa, when Lord Narayana absorbed the creation into himself, and Brahma, and then he absorbed even the Narada's subtle body. He absorbed everything, and he says, I too entered into the Lord's body, even though he shed his body long back. Then he says that when Brahma awoke at the beginning of this creation, after 1,000 yuga cycles, he was born again with Marichi and yes. Ishan, actually, the totals.
Yes,
Yeah,
here.
yeah, okay. Okay.
Can you put it at the safe place?
Yes, yes, sorry. So, yes, so he says that he was born again along with Marichi and other sages from his senses. So, we know that sage Narada is the Manas Putra. He was the third incarnation of Narayana. Then he says that by the grace of the Lord, he got the blessing, or kind of say he got a shrap, where but he considered as a blessing that he can move through any world. So there is any material world. So three worlds probably, the Swarg Lok, the Bhulok, and the Patal, the Netherlands. So he could move freely anywhere that he wanted, and nothing obstructed his passage. And he also says that Lord has actually given him a veena, divine veena or tanpura, and he used to place, songs. He used to sing songs of his glories, and these all conversations he's telling to Ved Vyas. Okay, so he's telling that whenever I am singing, actually Sri Hari will come manifest himself in my heart, and I could see him like as if I have only called him. And then Narada further says, yeah, Sandhya, you had hands raised. Sorry.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe,
So,
Radhe.
like a technical question. So, I think it was mentioned earlier that Narad ji got a divine body
Where?
in the previous slide after dissolution,
Wait.
or Lord's
I
body.
too. He got absorbed. So Mahavishnu, from the Mahavishnu will absorb all his creations when he's breathing in, breathing out. He creates the world, right? The Brahmans. So when that time got over, he absorbed everyone. So along with that, all the subtle body also entered.
Yeah, so he says in a divine form. So I thought that it is a divine body that he was
No, no,
with.
no. He got the divine body in the next kalpa.
Yeah, so that's what. So in the next, when he, like along with Marichi and others, he like a divine body at that point of time?
Yes, yes.
You are getting muted. Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. My son,
No
he's
problem.
awake, so
No, no, no
there's
problem.
so many
Okay.
questions. Yeah. So, uh, see, this is
Okay.
what
So
I
yeah,
wanted
that's
to
what I
tell.
wanted to
Explain.
confirm, because Naradji, also Naradji is considered as, is he also considered as an avatar?
Yes, he's the third avatar of Narayana. So So the Narayana is actually made up of Shuddha Sattva. We've learned in the previous chapter. So Shuddha Sattva means Sachidanand. So he is actually Sachidanand aspect only. So he comes with that divine body. So the whole thing now, I will explain the next ways how the divine body is formed and what is Sachidanand, what is Shuddha Sattva, and how these. I'll explain everything so it will become more clearer. So, but the thing is. Uh, when he left his body, he was in the subtle form, subtle body, and then he got absorbed. And in the next kalpa, he got a divine body. So he became the avatar.
So,
That's
like
what.
at this time of dissolution, he actually attained God in completion. Like it was, he fully realized God, right?
Um, See, God, it's like, uh, how I can explain is, the Paramatma aspect, right? So Paramatma aspect is all pervading. So we know that he, just like, Shukha Muni, he understood that he was, so how will I explain? Okay, so like Shukha Muni had, his experience was he was everything, right? That is Paramatma realization, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for
So,
the Narada, there was no such realization. It was just that he had love for God. Okay, so there was just love for God, and that love for God actually gave him the divine body in the next kalpa. So there was no God realization as such, but when he got a divine body, he was already God realized. That's how it is.
yeah. So basically, my point was, once you are God realized, do you still carry any subtle or causal body? It was more around that, basically.
No, because subtle and causal body is see, subtle body is mind, and causal body is your these um, material aspects that we've discussed in the 16 material aspects that forms this part of your, that Mahavishnu also has it, right? The all these latent tendencies, the samskars. So that is the causal body. So you have none of the material bodies. You are directly coming from Narayana. So which is Shuddha Sattva, because that means it has only Satchidanand in him, but lesser, not like Krishna, not the complete Satchidanand. So yeah, that's how. Is, shall we proceed? All right. Um, so yeah, so when the Brahma awoke, so he was also born again along with Mariji. So now he had a tanpura. He used to sing glories, and whenever he used to sing glories, the Lord will appear. Then Narada says to Vyasa that these stories of the Lord. Now again, now he told about everything that his past experiences were, and then he says that whenever the stories of the Lord are discussed, actually acts like a boat. It helps us travel from the material into the spiritual. So that's how. And us means what? The mind, the ego, that whoever we think. And that is what happened to him. So that is why he says that by listening to the stories of God, by chanting his name, we are actually attaching our mind to him, and we'll get detached from all our worldly things. Slowly and steadily, the purification of mind, everything will happen. And he says that those who are troubled by worldly desires find peace through his worship, even if the heart is afflicted by lust and greed, even if by self control also, just like how the gyan marg is there, no, self control. They He says that even better is through devotion, it will automatically go away. And then Sutamani further says that after narrating the story to Vyasa, Narada picks up his tanpura and he leaves, playing his sweet music. And then Vedya says, blessed is Narada who sings the glories of Vishnu, who is very joyful himself, and he also spreads happiness to the entire world. So that actually brings to the end of the chapter 6. Um, so we have more time. So let's do the discourse 7. So this is about Ashwatthama's So how he assassinates Draupadi's son and even Draupadi's brother, and how Arjuna in turn curbs his pride. So this is the, because the question, if you remember, Shaunaka Muni asked that what was the context where Vedvyas narrated this, I mean, wrote this Srimad Bhagavatam, and how did Shukamuni meet King Parikshit? So this is how the storyline goes. So not in this story, but probably in the next 2 or 3 stories. I think the next story itself, Parikshit will come. So let's dive into it. All right. So now, when this portion was over, Shaunaka again asked the question. He says that after Narada left, what did the wise and powerful Vyasa do, knowing what was in Narada's mind? So now, what was the next step? What did Vyasa do after Narada left? So then, so the Muni continues. He says that Ved Vyas actually his home, he's actually situated in a place called Samya Prasha, and which it's just like Naimisharanya, where if any sacrifice is performed there, the the power increases. So like that, he was also he was living in that place. So he sat there thinking about what Narada said. He calmed his mind, and then he focused on the Shri Krishna. And he also, and he had a vision of Krishna and Maya. Okay, it's the Maya, that is the energy that is dependent on him, and he understood. So he was like, from he saw the entire thing, all the 22 avatars and every devotees out there, everything he saw, and then he understood how Maya actually confuses the soul. So just like, how I mentioned that, even if you remember how from Mahavishnu, is that 50% the divine and 50% material. From him Garbhodakasai Vishnu comes, again 50%, 50% from there Shirodakasai Vishnu. The Shirodakasai Vishnu is the divine essence, and covered by the material aspect, is which is covered by mind, covered by body, is us. So our real identity is, we are actually Paramatma only, but we don't realize it. So he's saying the same thing. He understood how Maya confuses the soul. Soul means the Paramatma, where and forms this ego and making it feel tied to the three gunas. So whatever is the material aspect, it functions as per the three gunas only, which is material in nature. So, when we go out of these three gunas by devotion, we come into something called Shuddha Sattva, which is Satchidanand. So, which is Anu Satchidanand. So, that is what he is talking about here. So he understood how Maya confuses the soul, making it feel tied to the three gunas, even though the soul is beyond them. This confusion leads to suffering. We do a lot of karma. We don't understand. We consider other, someone as someone else. We don't consider them as, they are actually us only. It's just the differences in the mind and the body, but that doesn't mean anything, because even at a root level they are also same. So Vyasa realizes all this, how this whole confusion is created, and to overcome this delusion, he composes the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he says that this text teaches about devotion, and it removes ignorance. And he says that listening to Bhagavatam inspires devotion to Krishna, which actually helps us, one person gets detached from all that is material, which is, they will get detached from mind. The mind, whenever there is a detachment of the mind, it has to attach to something, and that's when devotion comes. Our mind naturally gets attached to Krishna, and it clears grief, attachment, and all kinds of fears from the heart. And then he says that after finishing the Bhagavatam, he started writing there, and when he finished it, he taught it to Shukdev. So we know from the previous chapter that Shukdev was someone who was not interested in any of these things, right? So now next question that Shaunaka Muni asks was, how did Shukdev, who is already free, who's already attained the Paramatma realization, study Bhagavatam? What is the need for him to study Bhagavatam? And this is very, very interesting point that Sudha is saying, that even the sages who are free from ignorance, that means they have no material attachment, no mind, no ego, nothing, they also love to practice devotion to God. So that is what it is, that even a God realized or Paramatma realized, or they also want to pray. So if you ask why, because um they want to experience that love, so, to Bhagwan. So in whichever bhav that they want to. So even the great sages who are free from ignorance love to practice devotion to God because of his greatness. And then he said that when actually there's a story also where once Ved Vyasa's students saw young boy sitting near uh, under a tree, and they went and told Vedvyas about it. So Vedvyas said that, okay, say this one some chant or some name to his ears. So when they say, because they tried to wake him up, but Shukmani was not waking up. He was in deep meditation and trance. So the moment these students went and told the thing to his ears, he was like, he opened his and he said, where did you hear this? And this was, I think, one of Krishna's name or some quality. And he said, I must learn about it. And that's how he goes back to Ved Vyas, and he learns about the whole Shrimad Bhagavatam. So even great sages, they want to learn. And he was so drawn to Krishna's divine qualities that he studied the Bhagavatam daily out of pure love and devotion. And then now the next question, which was Parikshit's births and deeds. So he started now telling about the a continuation of what happened after Mahabharat war. So he says that during the Mahabharat war, Bhima broke the thigh of Duryodhana in the battle, right? So that night, we know the story of Ashwatthama, right? Ashwatthama, they told Drona that Ashwadhama died. Yudhishthir had to say that. And that was Krishna told him to say that. So actually, Ashwadhama, the elephant, had died, but they said that Ashwadhama, his son, died, and Drona actually decided to, leave his body. And then his body was beheaded by, I think, Drishtadyumna. So but before that he already left his body. So he entered the so he wanted to take revenge, and he also wanted to please Duryodhan. So he entered the camp at night, and he killed all the five sons and also Draupadi's brothers who were sleeping there inside the camp. And then he brought the severed heads, the son's severed heads, to Duryodhana, hoping to please him. But Duryodhana found the act very shameful and wrong. And Draupadi, in the next day, when uh, she found out that her sons were killed, her brothers were no more, she cried endlessly in her sorrow. And in order to comfort her, Arjuna vowed that he is going to bring justice. He's going to catch Ashwatthama and he will behead him. So once again, he enters his charioteer. And mounts his chariot. Krishna is the charioteer, and they chases Ashwatthama. And Ashwatthama already now regrets his actions, and now he's running. So when he runs and runs, his horses becomes exhausted, and he gets cornered. So in the next thing that, and he still was very having these very, very hateful sentiments for these Pandavas. So he actually releases Brahmastra, not knowing how to take it back. He releases the Brahmastra, and he says that let the entire family of Pandavas dies. So now uh, when Arjuna sees this, immediately seeks the Krishna's opinion. What should we do? And Krishna says that a Brahmastra can be stopped only by another Brahmastra, so you also release it. So the moment Arjuna also leaves the Brahmastra, the big fire, emerges or by the joining of this, and which threatens to kill and destroy the entire um, creation itself. So then Arjuna again seeks advice, and Krishna says that he does not know, Ashwadama does not know how to take this Brahmastra back. You know, so you take it back. So then Arjun, uh, you know, uh, takes both of them back, both Ashwadhamas and Arjunas, and he immediately captures Ashwadhama. So once he captures um, the weapons, I mean, the once he captures the Ashwadhama, he actually ties him up. And all right, next.
There's a question in the chat.
Yes.
Kumarji is asking that Ashwadhama was a Chiranjeevi. Did his own father or Arjuna not know about it?
Arjuna was a Chiranjeevi.
Ashwadhama,
I think the
Ashwadhama.
Chiranjeevi aspect came later. Because of because I think Krishna said that uh, your crime was so heinous that you are going to suffer this for the rest of the kalpas. So that is why he became Chiranjeevi. And that's the reason. So if you want, I can get the answer next week, because I'm also not entirely sure. But I'm probably 99% sure about this, that he became Chiranjeevi because of this incident. Okay, so can we proceed? All right. So with the weapons neutralized, Arjuna captures Ashwatthama and ties him up like a sacrificial animal. And Ashwatthama is also very shameful, regretting his terrible crimes. And Arjuna takes him in front of Draupadi. But Draupadi actually feels a lot of compassion when she finds out that, when she sees Ashwatthama, and she actually asks Arjuna to release him. So Draupadi then says that he's a son of our teacher, Drona, and if we kill him, it will bring dishonor to his family, because he was already a Brahmin also, right? Which deserve Brahmin means he is already someone who's um kind of God, I don't know, God realized, or someone from a very respectable family. She added that his mother, Gautami, which is mother of Ashwadhama, should not suffer the same pain I feel. Let him live for the sake of our teachers' lineage. And she says that only by Drona's teaching, Arjuna and all the others were able to master the art of archery and learn powerful secrets. So let's let him go. And Draupadi's noble words actually moved everyone, even Krishna. He was also okay agreeing to this, but Bhima strongly opposed Draupadi's plea. He argued that Ashwadhama's crime of killing innocent children deserves death, and we cannot spare him. So he says that he is a very cruel person, and his crimes should not go unpunished, because he killed the kids when they were sleeping. So now Krishna stepped in, and he asked Arjuna to punish Ashwadhama in a way that he spared his life, because it was not, killing a Brahmana is a sin. So he should spare his life, but he should ensure that justice was served. And it should satisfy Bhima also. In between, there was also a conversation where he actually told Arjun to kill him when he captured him initially, but Arjuna actually refused. He says that no, let Draupadi decide. Even though he already promised Draupadi that he will behead him, but he maybe the same sentiment that Draupadi was having, he also felt. So he brought him in front of her. So Krishna now says like, now you do. I already told you to kill. You did not kill. Now you make sure that the justice is served without killing, and make sure that Bhima also feels happy. with the whatever you are going to decide. So then Arjuna actually decides to remove the jewel, which was the symbol of his power and pride. So he removes the jewel from his head, and also yeah, he strips Ashwadama of his strength and dignity and leaves him humiliated. He expels him from the camp and ensures that he faces shame and disgrace for his actions. And he shaves Ashwadama's head and banishes him. And these were the punishments that Arjuna gave to Ashwadama, who was, even though he was a Brahmana, he committed such a heinous crime. So then Krishna explains that this was in line with dharma, as killing a Brahmana would be wrong according to the scriptures. Then the Pandavas, along with Krishna and Draupadi, mourned deeply for their sons and the relatives who got killed. And despite everything, they could have done wrong. He killed their sons, they could have killed, but they made sure that everything happens as, as dharma. And then finally they perform the funeral rites for their loved ones. Actually, this ends the sixth and seventh discourse, forming the part of story relating to Naimisharanya forest. First book of first canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam is also known as Paramahansa Samhita. Thank you, Radhe Radhe. So yeah.
Wow. Feels like a dream that we have covered first canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam, thanks to you.
Yeah, it's still there. 19 chapters are there. So we've covered, like, but I think it's going on a smooth, good pace. So yeah, I think
What did you mention when you said first canto? Oh, so you're saying first 7 chapters of the first
sixth
canto
and
are
seventh
complete.
chapter. Yeah. Yeah. So it's also called Paramham Samhita.
Oh, so it is for so those 19 chapters are further divided into like few
No,
other.
no, no. Oh, first canto has 19 chapters, out of which we have finished 7 chapters.
So Paramhans Samhita is first 7 chapters or the entire.
Yeah, Shrimad Bhagavatam's another name.
Oh, acha, that I did not know. Thanks. Paramhans Samhita.
Yeah, I actually, when I was reading, they were saying that he wrote Samhita. I was like, which Samhita he wrote? Then I later came to know that okay, it is also known as Paramham Samhita, the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mhm. Great.
Yeah.
I don't have any other question. I was just learning the stories that were being told. So
Oh,
many new incidents. I mean, actually, this one I knew about killing of all the sons of Pandavas,
oh.
and now we will come. So now we are yet to come to Parikshit's thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. So after after effect of releasing the Brahmastra, is he says now that it should destroy the entire family of Pandavas. So the fire actually attacks the womb of Uttara, which is Abhimanyu's wife.
So,
So
oh, so it's like even though Arjuna absorbed both the Brahmastra,
the
something.
fire was out. So
Ah, okay.
he could not do further damage, but whatever was done, kind of Krishna saves the fights with the fire and is able to quell. So we'll learn about it in the next chapter. So the thing that I wanted to discuss, actually, I thought I will not have time, but I have, but I didn't make the slides, was on I think 2 or 3 verses from the previous chapter actually, captured my attention, where Narada was talking about remembering Krishna in 4 forms, which was, I think, Vasudev, Sankarshana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna. He was saying like that. And then he was talking about God's body being made up of mantra. So I'm actually researching on it. So once I understand whatever way I'll explain, maybe my understanding, all of your understanding together will bring something out. But it might change also. But let's go. We'll have a foundation at least. Okay, this is what it means, and then we can build on that. So I'll bring some slides next class on that.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Mm.
And I had so next class, do we have next Saturday? Or
Uh, what is the date?
you were saying that you had some other commitment, if I remember it right?
Um, so I'll let you know then. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, looks like we are done 10 minutes early, so
Mm.
we can probably leave early because right now we are not doing the Damodarashtakam, which was the Kartik month special. But we can actually also, going forward, we can always keep something to chant as a backup. Uh,
Mm.
like if we get some time, we can always engage in some chanting together.
Yeah, if anybody wants to sing.
Yeah.
I just have a comment. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Hanuman, everyone. So, Patricia ji, you are right. This happens when he goes one step further to kill the unborn child of Uttara.
Okay.
That's when Krishna said that enough is enough. So, but the funny part is he gives him a Chiranjeevi so that I don't know whether he can kind of rehabilitate himself or what it is. But the reason why I also asked was when we do some Indian Hindu this one ceremonies and all that stuff. In the prayers, Ashwatthama's name also comes up there.
Mm.
Just probably because he was a Chiranjeevi. I don't know whether it's because of that, but because of his controversial act of what he did at the end of the Mahabharat war,
Hmm.
he's not considered as like the person to be prayed to, right?
Actually,
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've also like I've come across this thing that this shrap of him not having the jewel was there for only 3,000 years. So if you can research on that, I don't remember the context, but it was there for only 3,000 years. After 3,000 years, he's back. His the remorse and regret period is over, and right now they say that he's walking among us fully, as divine entity only, just like Hanuman.
No, in fact, I also, I mean, okay, this is not the right reference though, but there was this movie. In that there was a character of Ashwatthama where his Chiranjeevi aspect was shown and also his devotional aspect was shown. And I mean, I also probably started perceiving him similar to Jai Vijay, like I don't know what was his historical character, I mean, in God's abode, but I feel like he was also part of God's Leela that way. And once that Leela completed, like he started serving God in other ways as part of his Chiranjeevi personality. So probably that could be the bigger reason why he is also amongst the prayers. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just, I mean, this is not coming from any scriptural reading. It's just my vague understanding. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't have any clue.
this one just leads us to this one that there cannot be questions on the Bhagavatam. You just
You can bring the questions. We'll do our research and we'll bring it on. So the questioning is the best part of learning.
no.
Shilpa,
I agree, but what I meant was Bhagavatam. You just have belief in it, and then just hear it as it is and trust it, right, as it was written. Unlike Bhagavad Gita, where we can have discussions and contra this one and all that stuff. That's what I thought anyway. But
yeah, I mean, I think the point is that when it comes to Leelas, um, you need to have that acceptance when it comes to concepts or gyan, then you can try and have questions to
Yeah,
get a
because
better
this is the
understanding.
first time all of us are doing, so we'll have lot of questions. And I've also noticed that some of the questions that I have in Canto 1 is getting answered in Canto 4 and Canto 5. So that's why
Yes.
even if we have doubts and it's not getting answered now, we can just go and do our research and we can say that we're good. But the greater understanding we'll get as we go ahead. That's what I feel.
Shilpa ji, yes. Radhe Radhe.
So again, yeah. I don't have any actual references, but just something I grew up hearing, that Ashwatthama was cursed. His money was taken out by Sri Krishna, and he was cursed to be like a crazy beggar. He won't, even though he's very knowledgeable, but because of his looks and because he will never have uh, anything of enough to feed himself, even though he's very knowledgeable, he's Brahman, he will never have anything of enough, and he'll always have to beg for things. But he will be alive forever until there is this earth. Um, and so I don't know how much truth there is, but it's said that anytime we see someone begging for something, we don't know what caste or what how much knowledge they have, but that may be Ashwatthama, because
That's
he's
awesome.
still knowledgeable. He's still from a great caste. He still has good family history, but just because of his karma, at that time he's been cursed never to have enough, even to feed himself and his family.
Thank you, Shilpa
But
ji.
no reference for that.
Yeah, and I've actually also I've learned that in the past, if somebody is saying that you're a Brahmana, that means in some or the other form you have had visions of God. Probably you are not realized. Still have that ego and that element of identity within you, which is separating you. But in some or the other way, they have realized God. So that devotion is there, as you're saying that he's having that devotion is like we've read that just by having a vision of Krishna, by when Narada saw him, it automatically brought that he started chanting and the purification eventually happened for him. So probably he was in that kind of a stage also. We don't know. Yeah. So yeah.
Great discussion. So should we now stop recording, and
Yes.
so
Thank you.
we'll see everyone tomorrow for the follow-up of Bhagavad Gita. We will be discussing Shloka 6.14
4
onwards,
and
as
5,
well
I
as
think.
we'll be revising 6.10 to 6.13. So looking forward to that. See you all tomorrow. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe, thank you.